If you're watching this video right now and your chest feels tight and you've been praying the same prayer for so long that the words don't even feel like words anymore, just breath, stop scrolling, because this message was not an accident. Somebody almost closed this tab 3 seconds ago and something stopped their thumb. That was not luck. That was me. I want you to sit down. Put the phone on the table if you have to. Prop it up, but sit down. Because what I am about to say to you, I have been saying for years, and you have not been able to hear it, because your life has been too loud. Too many voices. Too many bills. Too many people who left. Too many nights where you looked at the ceiling and asked why nobody was answering. Somebody was answering. I was answering. You just could not hear me over the sound of your own exhaustion. Let me tell you about a woman named Ruth. Not the Ruth from the Bible, a different Ruth. A woman I want you to picture, because her story is going to feel a lot like yours. Ruth was 51 years old, and she worked a night shift at a hospital in a small town, the kind of town where everybody knows your business before you've even told anybody. She had raised 2 children mostly alone after her husband left when the youngest was 4. She had not had a real vacation in 11 years. She used to pray out loud in her car in the hospital parking lot before her shifts, not fancy prayers, not the kind you hear from a pulpit, just tired words. God, if you're there, I could really use a sign. I am so tired. I don't know how much more of this I can carry. And for years, nothing seemed to happen. The bills stayed the same. Her back still hurt. Her son still wasn't speaking to her the way he used to before the divorce split the family down uneven lines. She started to believe that maybe prayer was just something people did to feel better, like humming to yourself in the dark. Maybe there was no one actually listening. But I want you to understand something, because this is the whole reason I brought you here today. I was listening every single time. I heard every prayer she prayed in that parking lot with the engine running and the heat barely working. I heard the ones she didn't even say out loud, the ones that were just a feeling in her chest when she looked at her paycheck and did the math again for the 100th time. Psalm 34 verse 18 says, "The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit." Not close to the people who have it all figured out. Close to the brokenhearted. That is where I live. That is where you'll find me. Not in the version of you that has everything together, but in the version of you that is falling apart quietly in a parking lot at 11 at night. Here is what I need you to understand about waiting, because I know that is what has brought you here. You've been waiting for the marriage to heal, or waiting for it to finally end, so the pain stops changing shape, waiting for the test results, waiting for the job that actually respects you, waiting for your kid to call, waiting to feel like yourself again after the thing that broke you. And somewhere along the way, waiting started to feel like being ignored. I want to correct that thought right now, because it is a lie, and lies do not get to sit in your mind rent-free anymore. Waiting is not the absence of my work. Waiting is the room where my work happens before you're allowed to see it. Think about a seed. Nobody stands over a seed in the dirt and calls it lazy. Nobody says the seed is wasting time because there's no visible plant yet. Everybody who has ever planted anything knows that the most important part of growth happens underground, in the dark, where nobody is watching, where it looks like absolutely nothing is happening. That is where you are right now. You are not stuck. You are rooting. Ruth did not know this either. 3 years into praying that same tired prayer, she almost quit her job. She had an offer for something easier, something that paid less but asked less of her, and part of her wanted to just disappear into an easier life and stop trying so hard. But something, and she would later say she couldn't explain it, made her stay one more year. One more year of the night shift. One more year of exhaustion. And it was in that extra year that she met a patient's daughter, a young woman going through her own dark season. Someone Ruth ended up talking to for 20 minutes in a hallway at 2 in the morning. Someone whose life quietly turned around because a tired night shift nurse chose kindness over exhaustion. Ruth never knew the full story of what that conversation did. I did. I was there for all of it. I tell you this because you don't get to see the ripples. You only get to see the pond where you're standing, and right now that pond might look still, or worse, it might look like it's drying up, but I am moving underneath the surface of your life in ways you will not understand until much later, maybe not until heaven, maybe not until someone tells you years from now. You have no idea what you did for me that day. You will not always get proof. Sometimes I ask you to walk by faith and not by sight, because if I gave you the whole blueprint right now, you wouldn't need to trust me. And I want your trust more than I want your understanding. Let's talk honestly about the anger for a second, because I know it's there, even if you haven't said it out loud to anyone. Maybe not even to yourself. You are allowed to be angry with me. Job was angry. David was angry. Read the Psalms. Half of them start with some version of, "How long, O Lord, will you forget me forever?" These were not weak men. These were men after my own heart, and they still shouted at the sky. I am not afraid of your anger. I am not going anywhere because you had a bad night and said something honest in the dark. What breaks my heart is not your anger. What breaks my heart is when you go quiet and stop bringing it to me at all. When you decide I'm not worth talking to anymore. That silence is the real danger, not the shouting. So if you are angry today, tell me, right now, in your own words, however messy they come out. I am not going to flinch. I want to talk to you about the specific thing you have not told anyone. You know the one. It's been sitting in your chest for weeks, maybe years, and you've gotten so used to carrying it that you almost forgot it was heavy. The way you forget you're wearing a backpack until you finally take it off and your shoulders remember how to breathe. Maybe it's a diagnosis you're scared of. Maybe it's a marriage you don't know how to save or how to leave. Maybe it's a child who is making choices that are keeping you up at night. Maybe it's simpler than that. Maybe it's just a quiet fear that you have wasted your life, that you are behind everyone else, that the years are slipping through your hands like sand and you have nothing to show for it. I want you to hear this clearly. Nothing is wasted with me. Joel 2 verse 25 says, I will restore the years the locusts have eaten, not erase them like they never happened. Restore them. That means the years that felt empty, the years you spent surviving instead of living, the years you gave to a job or a person or an addiction that took more than it gave. Those years are not disqualifying from the life I have for you. They are the very soil I am going to use to grow something you could not have grown any other way. Ruth's 11 years without a vacation were not wasted. They built in her a patience and a gentleness that no easy life could have built. Your hard years are not disqualifying you. They are qualifying you for something you cannot see yet. Let me talk to the version of you who feels forgotten specifically because everyone else's prayers seem to be getting answered faster. You watch someone else get the promotion, the pregnancy, the healing, the apology, and you think quietly, shamefully, why not me? I want you to know that is one of the oldest lies there is. Comparison has been stealing peace since Cain looked at Abel's offering and decided it meant something about his own worth. Your story is not running on the same clock as anyone else's story. I am not slower with you. I am not less interested in you. I am simply writing something different on a timeline that only makes sense once you're standing at the end of it looking back. I think about the story of Joseph a lot when I think about people like you, thrown in a pit by his own brothers, sold into slavery, falsely accused, thrown in prison for years for a crime he didn't commit. If you had asked Joseph in that prison cell whether I had forgotten him, he probably would have said yes. Every circumstance said yes. And yet every single one of those painful chapters was building the exact man who would one day stand in front of Pharaoh and save an entire nation from famine, including the very brothers who threw him away. He told them later, what you meant for evil, I meant for good, to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives. That verse is not just about Joseph. That is a promise sitting over your life right now, over the very thing you think ruined you. I know some of you watching this are not going through a slow waiting season. Some of you are in crisis right now, today, and you clicked on this video because you did not know where else to turn. If that is you, I want to speak directly to you. You are not alone in this room right now, even though it feels like the emptiest room you've ever sat in. I am closer to you in this exact moment than your own heartbeat. Cast your anxiety on me, because I care for you. That is not a suggestion, that is an invitation, and I am asking you to take me up on it right now, out loud if you can. Say it with me. God, I am giving you this weight, because I cannot carry it anymore, and I believe you can. I want to gently say something to those of you who have started to numb yourselves instead of feeling any of this. The ones scrolling too much, drinking too much, working too much, staying busy enough that you never have to sit with the ache. I see you. I am not condemning you. But I am inviting you out of the numbness. Because numbness was never meant to be your home. You were built for feeling, for connection, for a full life, not a managed one. Come back to feeling. It will hurt for a while, but feeling is where healing actually starts. And numbness only postpones the pain. It never removes it. Let's return to Ruth one more time, because I want you to see how her story continued. Because I think you need the ending as much as the middle. For years after that hallway conversation, Ruth's son called her, out of nowhere, on a random Tuesday. He said he'd been in therapy, and something in one of the sessions made him think of her, made him realize how much she had actually sacrificed for him, even when he was too young and too hurt to see it. They talked for 2 hours. She cried in her car afterward. The same car, the same parking lot, except this time the tears were not from exhaustion. They were relief. She told a friend later, I almost gave up praying for this. I almost stopped believing it would ever happen. I want you to remember that the very last mile of waiting often looks the most like defeat. The night is darkest right before the light comes, not because I enjoy suspense, but because that is simply how growth works. The most difficult pushing happens right at the very end, right before the breakthrough. So here's what I'm asking you to do today, right now, before you close this video, and go back into your regular life. I am asking you to stop measuring my faithfulness by how fast things are moving. I am asking you to trade your timeline for my timing, even though that is one of the hardest trades a human heart can make. I am asking you to bring me the actual thing you've been avoiding talking about, not the polished version, not the church version, the real one, and lay it down honestly. And I am asking you to keep planting, even in the dark, even when you cannot see a single sign of growth. Because I promise you the roots are doing exactly what they need to do. You were not brought to this video by accident. Somewhere right now, you needed exactly these words on exactly this day, and I orchestrated that. I know the exact hour you are watching this. I know what happened to you this morning that made your hands shake a little. I know the name of the person you have not been able to stop thinking about. I know the number on the test results you're waiting for. None of it surprises me. None of it is too big for me. And none of it is going to be wasted.